Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. Jason here. Sorry it's been a little while since I posted a video. I'll try and make this pretty quick. Thank you to all of our patrons, all of our supporters. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to check the links down below for links to today's book and anything else that we might find applicable. I need to have some traffic through that Amazon thing that you guys suggest in order for it to keep going. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into today's video. Today's video, I want to talk about Savage Awakening 3 by Adastra339, clearly a pen name, but regardless. Savage Awakening 3. This is probably my top 5 favorite lit RPG series at the moment. It's fairly new, I mean, third book, but it's absolutely fantastic. There's only really one thing that kind of jars me about the series, but overall it is an awesome lit RPG series. Now, it very, very, very clearly takes some inspiration, let's say, from some of the other big lit RPG series out there. In particular, I would say it's heavily inspired by Defiance of the Fall. We've got our main character, Zane, and his thing with chains and axes. That's his thing. So he's got chains with axes on the end, and these chains are kind of his main weapon. They apparently can go for miles and all this. It's pretty odd, but the world itself that he built, that the author built, absolutely awesome. And the way the lit RPG thing, this particular, I don't know, system, whatever you want to call it, works, is also pretty cool. What I really liked about the first book was how you created that we got this system apocalypse thing in this world, except that this time around there were no safe zones. Like every portion, every section of the planet was a dungeon, and humanity had to clear them all. Now, once they cleared one, then they could kind of make it a safe zone, although it would randomly spawn stuff here and there, so it wasn't perfectly safe, but better. They were able to start making civilizations and stuff like that. And Zane turned out to be one of the leaders of the planet. He ended up being one of the strongest. The first couple books, one of the strongest. By the end of the second book, it was pretty clear that he was hands down, bar none, no exceptions, the strongest one on the planet. There were some really cool other people. I really like the guy that's, I would almost say, is very heavily inspired by One Punch Man. He's really cool. And as the series is going on, we do start getting a little bit more, like some of the other lit RPG series, like Primal Hunter, we do start getting a little bit of time spent with some of the other fairly cool characters that have come up. Not just Reina, Zane's partner, and kind of the one that sort of runs everything, but even the other characters, MK, that would be the One Punch Man kind of guy, who has got a really cool power. So Savage Awakening 3 now, we've had this whole super dungeon thing that was building up in the big boss man that Zane killed in book 2, but now he's got to deal with the super dungeon, and the super dungeon itself has plenty of rewards that could be there, but it's also going to be extraordinarily powerful, extraordinarily strong, extraordinarily difficult. And we actually have teams that are entering it from every entrance. There's X number of entrances around the planet, and each kind of zone, like there's a European team, there's a Far Eastern team, I think there's an Australian team. They put together a team of their strongest. They're elites. You know, there was like a top 100 ranking or something like that. You know, again, Zane is number one. It's not even a question. But everyone has their elite teams, and they're sending them into the dungeon. Now, this dungeon is relatively lengthy, and this is the part. This is like a lot of the system apocalypse type books where a system starts showing up. There comes a point where the wider universe starts focusing in. Now, most of them, they usually put some kind of lock on the planet. Like you've just been introduced into the system, so you've got a 5-year, a 10-year safe period where nobody else from outside the planet, no one from any other system or any other planets or any other empires can influence the growth. In this particular case, it all deals with the super dungeon. With the super dungeon, the entrance of the super dungeon, and that boss in the last book. Once they finish this, the wider universe can now start making can start making a play for people on Earth. But this time it's a little bit different. It's not like some of those other series where these empires now are going to look to take advantage of Earth and going to look to like mine it, farm it, whatever it may be. This is a little bit different. Now we're in the wider universe. We've got these huge factions, and what they're looking at Earth, and they're looking at the people in Earth as the super dungeon is going. who might they want to join their faction? It's basically like a recruiting drive. Like the Super Dungeon is sort of like a recruiting combine. This is the chance to show what you can do, show your abilities, show some of what makes you special, some of your special skills, or which path are you leaning towards walking down. And they'll be able to, once they finish, they'll be able to make recruiting pitches. Basically, like you're not going to get stolen or kidnapped, or they're going to be attacked. The recruiting pitches that are going to be made, but that's going to come later. Right now we've got the Super Dungeon, but the eyes are on everybody. And in this Super Dungeon, we start getting a couple hints that this particular, what they call the chaos cycle, this coming, and it's cyclical when new planets get brought into the system, stuff like that. But this chaos cycle where beasts are gonna come forth across the wider universe. This one, we're starting to get some hints that this one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be like a legendary one, which makes sense because Zane is almost a legendary newbie. He's basically a noob to the system, and yet he's very, very impressive. So while these factions can't make their offers yet to Zane, what they can do is they can not really influence. They can send gifts. It's kind of, if any of you guys have read one of my other favorite lit RPG series, Rise of the Winter Wolf, where the factions were able to send gifts at certain floors through this dungeon. It's kind of the same thing with the Super Dungeon. There's points where factions are able to send gifts. And these gifts could be anything. They could be an item, and some of them are get kind of oddball. They could be maybe a skill tome, a skill manual, something to help, or it could be a treasure to help you level. Excuse me. Could be a treasure to help you level, or maybe something with your cultivation. It could be all kinds of different things. Zane is kind of an interesting character, and he's getting a lot of attention because, one, his raw power is way up there. The damage he could do once he unleashes these chains and these axes, the damage he can do is pretty ridiculous. But he also can take a ton of damage. Zane is interesting in that he's your frontline combatant, so of course he's going to be somewhat tanky, and he definitely prides himself on being a tank. He wants to be up front to take the damage for everybody else. But by the same token, nobody does the damage that Zane can do when he really cuts loose. He does insane amounts of damage. And that starts showing up. We get some really amusing things, like the way Zane improves his body, through how he eats and what he eats is kind of amusing. But just overall, guys, if you guys like the System Apocalypse, which I read most of it, if you guys like Defiance of the Fall, which again I read most of it before I stopped reading, Primal Hunter, Rise of the Winter Wolf, there's so many lit RPG books out there. I guarantee this is one of the better ones. This is even if it's not in your top 3, 4, 5 like it is with me, it's going to be in your top 10, top 20. This is a very, very well written, awesome lit RPG series. So you guys got to check it out. Adastra339. There's no spaces there. It's just all one word. But just look for Savage Awakening. Download it, give it a try. It's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.